Leah, I'm so happy that you said yes to sit down and have a great conversation I know you consciously seek spirituality. So I'm curious, how long have you been studying and practicing science mind and being a part of the community here at CSL Dallas?
I walked in the doors of CSL Dallas in late 2017 and I joined July 29th, 28th, 29th, 2018. It's an important day to me, so I always remember that. I had I had some familiarity with metaphysical teachings. I'd read Marianne Williamson and Gabby Bernstein. I actually had Sermon on the Mount from Emmett Fox, and I'd read some Florence Scovel Shinn, but it was sort of loosey-goosey. There wasn't really any commitment to any particular study.
Yeah, well, okay, you just named a lot of people that I do love to read and study. That's great. Um, well, and so how has your life transformed and changed since really taking up science of mind and being a part of this community, CSL Dallas?
Well, I think, I've always walked the spiritual path, pretty much always walked it alone. And I think that I did not understand what it would be like to be a part of a community of like-minded people. CSL Dallas is just an incredible place. The energy there, I mean, the first time I walked in that door, I just felt like my shoulders went down and I knew this is it. This is where I want to be. And I was thinking about, how has my life changed? And it's when I sat down and really wrote out some things, it's been really incredible. One of the first things I did was sign up for a class, and I'm actually currently taking my 10th class. So I love the applied knowledge and science of mind. For me, I've learned so many great things that I've been able to put into practice. And being surrounded by people who are doing the same thing, who share that commitment to a world that works for everyone, it's just a really beautiful place to be. Um, you know, I I feel really deeply committed to living my spiritual truth, and a lot of the changes that I've seen in my life have been it's almost like things have gotten bigger. Things that were already there have really bloomed. I've
Mm.
seen more harmony in my relationships. I've seen a deeper and more profound commitment to living my spiritual truth and to recognizing that, that there is that one thing happening, that everything is an expression of the living spirit, that all around me. And it's changed the way I see other people. It's changed the way I treat people. It's changed my family dynamics. It's changed the amount of money I have in my bank account. It's changed pretty much every area of my life.
Wow, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. And what I appreciate is you weren't talking about how it's transformed in like material things or objects or harmony and that there's more harmony in your life and just how you are viewing the world and all of that and that's really great. So speaking of bank account, you said okay, it's changed your bank account. I know there was a point you took one of my classes, The Power Decision, a great book, even if you don't take the class, by Raymond Charles Barker. I remember you made a decision to be prosperous, to live an abundant life. So how has that really impacted you since you made that decision? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think what I was looking for was an increase in my financial abundance and my ability to receive it, because historically I have, come into situations where I'm doing okay financially, but then it would go away. In 2011, I got a box from a food pantry. Had lost a job, so I definitely have had a lot of instability in that area. And that is my favorite class I've taken, and it's very powerful to put your stake in the ground and say, I am going to do this thing, I am committed.
Hmm.
And so I just made that decision that I was going to have freedom from fear around money. I was no longer going to worry about it, and that I was going to welcome prosperity and abundance into my life. And there has been, great material, the experience of finding more material prosperity has been great. I definitely enjoy getting a huge tax refund, or suddenly getting paid $500 because someone appreciated some pro bono work that I did for them. But the biggest thing has been that my heart is at ease for the first time in my life. I no longer have fear about money, or about this sense of what's going to happen to me financially. And I just absolutely know that this magic pocket of mine, I know you've used that phrase, when I reach into it, there's always enough. I am supplied, all of my needs are taken care of, and honestly, most of my wants.
Wow, that's awesome. And I can appreciate what it feels like and is like to really not walk around with angst and anxiety and stress of this sense of lack. I don't have enough. I'm not going to have enough to pay my rent, and it's a conscious thing. And to really understand that the job or whatever, one or two things is not my source, right? That spirit is source, the universe is source, and that can come from so many ways. I mean, look at all the ways in which water can be sourced on this planet, right? And all the ways we can just receive that. And I love that you talked about you had to open up your receivership. And I find that a lot. And a lot of people that I work with and talk with, it's like it's having that sense of self-worth, and raising that actually raises our receivership, and then the reciprocal gets to happen, you know.
Sure. And
um,
learning about the law of circulation was
yeah.
extremely important to me. When I first came to CSLDallas, I would put a 10 or a 20 in the basket every week. And I took one of the classes, or it wasn't a class, it was a workshop with Edwin Gaines, who came to the center. And I more than tripled my tithe. And I have continued during this pandemic to have that auto draft going out every week, because that really has made a difference. Giving money to where I am spiritually fed, which is her big thing, is, where do you get fed? And she said, you support that, and you support with 10% of what you make. And so I give that money to CSLDallas joyously, because I have seen it come back to me so many times and in so many ways. And the lightheartedness, this sense about not worrying, has really been in all of my life. 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. So I am wired to be a tightly wound person. And I had someone last year describe me as very zen. So a lot, knowing my spiritual truth, through the science of mind, really becoming aware of it and living it, has changed everything in me.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's amazing. My gosh. And Edwin Gaines, okay, she is my rock star queen too on abundance. And okay, this isn't planned, you sharing this. And um, I know that, again, some people are challenged, like it's not that free giving. They feel like, oh, you just want my money.
Mm.
And it's like, no, actually, okay, I just want you to start this really spiritual practice called sacred giving, for the sake of your life, for the sake of the prosperity of your life. It's sort of like, I just want you to start exercising so you can feel and know the benefit of exercise, right? And go exercise however you want to. And yeah, we love that you give it where you're spiritually fed here. But it's that, I mean, when you do that, even during this pandemic, what you're saying is, it's like those first fruits. It's like, here, I have more than enough. You're not clinging to it. You're not clutching to it out of a sense of lack. And so the universe must reflect back, yes, you have more than enough.
I had a client that lost his funding and is unable to pay me. And it didn't even cross my mind I'm unfazed. And I, within 2 weeks, landed another client. I mean, in this tough economic time, which I'm not denying that there are a lot of people who are suffering right now,
Right.
but I don't see that in my life. I don't see lack. I see that there is endless opportunity because my source is endless. My source has everything.
Yeah. Um, I came into Science of Mind in 2007, just before, the big recession and the big downturn hit. And I would not be where I am financially had I not come into Science of Mind literally months, about 4 to 5 months before that hit. And I was not a minister. I was in my former field of sales and marketing. And oh my God, I made more money than I had ever made in my life while every person around me was talking about the recession, talking how bad it was. The news was awful, awful, awful. And I just stayed firm on, well, let's see if this really works, and
Yeah.
working it. And not only myself, but my entire sales team, because I would use it to help them. And I can appreciate where you are. And like you said, yes, I can appreciate that other people aren't necessarily there. So it's time to put this into practice and into use in your own life. That's the only place that it matters,
And
right?
I see that the way that I am living affects and changes other people around me. I see that the presence that I bring, not only to my family, but to my friends, to my community, it changes the dynamic, and that's been a huge blessing in my life to be the person who is positive, who sees the goodness in other people, who can see even people who on the outside sure look like they might not be very pleasant people, and I might not think they look real great to be around, but I can see the spiritual truth
Right.
behind the material expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what other spiritual practice, or I'll call them spiritual tools, are in your tool chest that you like to use and that you put into play either on a regular basis or right now, especially with this pandemic going on? What are you doing?
Well, I have a 5.5-year-old, and of course, school is not in session. So I am both working and it's not even homeschooling, it's like disaster schooling. But it's really going well. I have leaned very hard on the CSLDallas community, which is a huge resource and tool for me. The director of Joy Village, which is where, the Journey of Youth, where the children are. I have spoken to her more than weekly, actually, and gotten some guidance from her on seeing the spiritual truth of what can at times be a challenging situation with all of us at home. I'm working with another member of the community. I have been doing a lot of journaling. When I start getting caught up, because I can feel it when I'm starting to get in a little bit of a negative cycle. And
Mhm.
for me, journaling and writing has really helped, and meditation has really helped. But I have really made a commitment to staying in my practices during this time and even becoming more active. I'm currently taking a class. Everything that CSL Dallas offers is now online, either through social media or on Zoom. And so I've been doing a lot of either the Wednesday night meditation and metaphysics. I'm doing a class on Thursday, Sunday morning. So there's rarely a day that goes by that I don't have contact with the CSL Dallas or with someone in the community. And I do a lot of prayers, affirmative prayer with our spiritual coaches. I've reached out numerous times to different coaches. And, right when this happened, I had, before anyone even was really talking about staying home, I thought I had been potentially exposed.
Mm.
And as soon as I found out, I called one of our spiritual coaches and I said, I want freedom from fear. And that was the very first prayer we did. And I have, for myself, had no fear. I've had no fear about this. At times I'll start to get into it with some older family members, but then I remind myself, like, if it's true for me, it's true for them, you
Right.
know. And so I have been very active in the community, which again, like, I would wear a sandwich board out there on Spring Valley, and let people know about just this incredible place that I lived so close and I just never knew. And now that I'm here, I can't imagine my life without it.
Oh, that's great. And even if, thank God, even if they don't live near Spring Valley,
Mhm.
near the Galleria, um, we are more and more online, and so that's great. I love that. I love it. It actually just does my heart so good to hear this, Leah, because I mean, this is where I spend my time, and this is, all of my energy and effort. And so it's nice to know that it's definitely have an impact, and you're being transformed. So the last question is, well, is there anything else you want to tell people on any subject matter? I guess for that, this is open, or somebody that doesn't know anything about this, or maybe somebody that's been around for a while but hasn't really put forth that effort. I don't know. This is yours. It's the anything else question.
Well, I know, I think that I would say you could walk your spiritual path alone, but why would you? When there are places like CSL Dallas available that are just these joy-filled, loving communities that really advocate for a world that is a better place for everyone and something that works. I think that for anyone that is not taking advantage of the incredible resources that are online, I mean, CSL Dallas is incredibly tech friendly. There are so many things that are happening online, and I'm I can just from my house have the benefit of the wisdom of so many different people and seeing familiar faces. So I would say, don't miss out. Don't let yourself miss out on something that's great.
Thanks, Leah. And I'm glad you didn't miss out, and that you found your way here, and that you also contribute so much to this community. You're in leadership in this community, elected leadership, and so I appreciate who you are, your presence, and that you really do care about making a world that works for all, and both in your own life and in everyone else's life. So thanks for spending time with me, and I'll trust I will get to see you physically soon, and we'll get to hug each other again.
Can't wait. That's going to be so great.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Bye
you.
for now.